Enchanté, mon chers. We are here for our midweek alchemy message. This is our weekly segment where we take a deeper look into the process of the spiritual work that we're doing and our attempts at personal transformation and development. On Monday, we do our anchor message. And so I film at night after work, so you guys might see these more like Tuesday and Thursday. So if you want a jump start on our messages through the week, you should follow me on Instagram, where you can see the posts that I post on midday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that coincide with our anchor message for the week, our alchemy message, and our weekend reflective message. And you can find me on Instagram at Liz_Taylor_Magick, Magick with a CK, just like this channel. So let's get into our reading. From the Wild Unknown Alchemy deck, we have got the Blue Temple, Azure Vault, followed by Sulfurous or Sulfur, and then completed with the New Pearl or Margarita Preciosa. Yay. Yay. Underneath the blue vault, the blue temple, we have Queen of Pentacles. Underneath Sulfur, we have Two of Wands. Trying to show them all together. And then underneath the New Pearl, we have Star. So this is really interesting how these fit together. So the Blue Temple is about having that inner eye open, that third eye open. On the Tree of Life glyph that I show many times, hold on, let me see if I can find a chart to deploy quickly. Here we are. Chart hasn't come out to play in a while. Chart! So the third eye, or like greater awakened consciousness, like that aspect of getting it, like having the prophecy of having understanding and revelation and like insight, and like when you just sort of like, you get it, you know, it's like you get the meaning behind things. You understand, you have a deep understanding. That unmanifest trait here, or manifest trait, is called Das or Dot. Okay. That is like beyond knowledge and street smarts, or it's more like street smarts, but on the spiritual level. It's like spiritual street smarts, where you understand like the way things are sort of like connected, and the way like the pieces all fit together, and why things happen the way that they did, and how it all served you. So the Blue Temple describes a moment where this revelation is awakened in us, and we have, even if just for a moment, like this deep understanding of what it's all been about, why we had the challenges that we've had in life, why we've had the experiences, why things worked out in ways that we maybe weren't hoping that they would go that way, or maybe we thought they would go in other, unexpected twists and turns of life and the ups and downs. It's like this Blue Temple is a moment where it's like it all makes sense. And sometimes that moment is fleeting. And sometimes you get to at least take that memory of having that moment where you feel the clarity and you feel at peace with it all, because you feel the awe of seeing how it all worked out together and how it produced the person that you are today and gave you maybe a set of skills or a level of understanding or a depth of compassion that you would have never had without those experiences. And it all served you to prepare you for some great purpose or for your special talents or dreams in some particular way. But you can see more how it was all meant to be. In Jewish mysticism, we have like this soul path, this soul plan, this whole big workbook laid out before we come here. And our soul comes with us through lifetime after lifetime, and we evolve our soul and we transcend our lower parts of ourselves and elevate our consciousness through each lifetime. And so in every lifetime, we have to awaken and choose to do the work to continue on. And so in this card, it's like having one of those moments where you feel exhilarated and at peace and at one with all things, because you have this greater understanding in this moment of how it's all fit together, and the feeling is there as well. Now, sometimes we don't have that depth of clarity. Sometimes this moment comes and goes, and sometimes we're left with the memory of, yes, I know I have the knowledge that all of this has happened for a purpose and it has served a purpose for me. But it's not every time that we get to know that, but also feel the peace of it and maybe even the awe of it at the same time. So this is that moment where we're feeling like that God-fearing moment where it's like the fear of God is like awe and wonder, not fear of punishment, but you're in wonder and awe of how it's all been pieced together. In the Hebrew word for this is tikkun. It's your soul's tikkun, that you have to come here and bring the different parts of your soul into balance and correct your negativity to release the light of the Creator that wants to channel through you and from within you. So realizing how it's all been connected. And I like that this Queen of Pentacles here looks like she's kind of standing in this moment of almost like she's like gathering her bounty, and she stopped for a minute to take it all in, and then she's caught in a moment of like kind of transcendental reflection where she kind of slips off into a trance, and she's remembering, she's like realizing like, wow, this is where I'm at now. I've got all this security, I've got all this abundance, I've got all this beauty in my life, and I've got stability, and I have emotional stability, and I've got, you know, healthy, like a healthy mind and a healthy heart. And I'm, you know, building a life that is secure and nurturing because I have established these things through my relationship to source, right? To relationship to spirit, to transmute the lower parts of myself and grow into that Queen of Pentacles, right? So like, this is like all that she's like thinking in her mind. And yet she's thinking back kind of solemnly to everything it took to get her here, and all that she went through to get to this point. And she's kind of seeing how it all played together and fit together, and how those experiences have shaped her and given her the strength and the experience and the wisdom to be able to co-create with God this life for herself. And she's like stepped into her potential, and now she's realizing, you know, all this growth and lush beauty around her because of it. It's interesting to me too that next to her is this little girl, and they're back to back, and it's almost like she's looking at her past. Let me see how these look yeah, she's back to back with her when they're laid down. So it's like she's thinking back to, you know, this younger version of herself where, you know, like Two of Wands here depicts this young girl, right? Let's pretend it's the younger version of this Queen of Pentacles. And at this point, this young girl is still in her village. She's still in her home, but she's, she's on top of the roof. It's like she's climbing as high as she can where she's at, but she's come to the limit of how far she can go from where she is. And she's sitting here holding the world in her fingertips, like having the world at your fingertips, like the world is your oyster kind of feeling. She's looking up at the moon, and she's looking at this distant, greater possibility, this greater destiny that her life holds, ahead of her. And it seems like a distant dream, and it seems like larger than life. And it's all that is yet to be revealed, right? And this is just a foreshadowing of what's to come. And so the sulfur here, though, it's interesting because next to this blue temple, understanding what it's all been about, the sulfur has been the medicine that has brought us to this point. The sulfur is all the stuff that really sucked that we had to go through. Sulfur stinks, but it's healing and it's therapeutic and it's soothing. So it's not pleasant, but it's good for you. And so, so many times we think that we know what we want, but we really just know what we desire. And what we need is something much different. And it doesn't mean that we won't get what we want, but we will definitely get what we need. And sometimes that comes with a big fat dose of sulfur. And it might be hard to take. It might be very unpleasant or shocking to the senses and to the system. But it's something that is needed, and it burns, and it's hard, to endure. But those are the things that have brought us to this point. And so, in a way, the queen is standing here, and she's looking back on how far she's been and how far she's come, and able to appreciate now the sulfur of her life. When we know we've gotten to a level of true forgiveness, it's when we're actually grateful for even the hardships and the disappointments and the pain that we've gone through, because we can see how without it, we couldn't have gained what we've gained. We couldn't have become what we've become. We couldn't have had the strength or the insight or the discernment or the wisdom had we not had that sulfuric experience or experiences or seasons through our life. So the queen stands here solemnly paying respects to all that the little girl had to carry in order to grow into this queen. And yet there's a part of the queen that realizes that she is once again this little girl in a new level. She has established a certain level of security and comfort zone, and now it's time to even expand into even more potential. She dreams of more things to come, right? The Queen of Cups, or the Queen of Pentacles, is like standing in the midst of her beautiful growth and this forest around her and these fields and flowers, right? But each season we plant again. And so it's almost like she's dreaming about, okay, how am I going to expand my crop? What am I going to plant, in addition to what I have now? And what am I going to plant next year and the next? How am I growing? What am I growing? So she knows that she's getting ready to embark on a new adventure again. So the Two of Wands, this is the exact energy in the hero's journey where the call to adventure has gotten the attention of the hero, and the hero knows that there is an assignment, there's a mission, and it's time for them to leave the comfort of the village, of all that is known up until this point. And they have to go beyond the village and set out into the wilderness, into the unknown, and meet friends and foes and princes and paupers and tricksters and saints, and rarely anyone looks the part, and navigate these characters and find their way once again and learn and develop skills and abilities and gain wisdom that they can then take back to the village and share and integrate. So readying the self to go into the next level. One of these, it was the sulfur also that represents the alignment of the mind, heart, soul, body, and spirit. And so because we are at this next level and we have aligned to some degree heart, mind, soul, body, and spirit, it's like we are setting out. That's what's up leveling us into this next level. Except when you start a next level and you up level, you're at the bottom again. So you feel again like a novice, like a child, like an innocent, like the freshman starting over again, wet behind the ears, a little bit out of your depth, and you know you're in new territory. So things are aligning. We are understanding with perspective and insight what we've gone through, what we've gained, and how we can apply and embody that now to the next leg of our journey. Yeah, and this is like the first stage of creation and the first stage of like manifestation, the first stage of success in something, where it's like the 1, 2, 3 level is like base camp 1 of manifestation. And so once you get to 3, that's like you're at the first level of completion. But 2 is the action or the expanse that you have to cross in order to get to that check mark, right? 1, we set out from the nest. 2, we are journeying, we are reaching, we are expanding, we're taking action. And then at 3, we've hit some sort of like checkpoint or achievement, or we've gained something to a certain degree. Okay. And so last but not least, this is such a uniform reading with so much continuity. So the new pearl, the Margarita Preciosa, the whole thing is about that single grain of sand, that irritant that worked itself over until it became this precious gem that forms over time. But it is through that one grain against that soft muscle of the oyster, and that saliva, that whatever it is, the liquid that the oyster secretes in order to like smooth over and cushion that irritant. That's what creates the pearl over time. And so the pearl has always represented like the hardship in life that creates wisdom, that builds the person of character and of value and of worth, right? It's that faith that we build over time that only comes from long-term trust and going through trials of heat and pressure and uncertainty. It is those irritants, that sulfur, those difficult hardships in life that we're seeing now that have actually sparked our healing and have served to elevate and raise us up out of the darkness, out of our fated path, and into our higher destiny, into a greater level of fulfillment and unfolding into like our deepest soul potential, right? The Star card is about healing. It's about hope. And it is about like long held dreams coming true, if not like aligning with your calling or like having like your life purpose, like a big, huge manifestation workout, huge life dream, like the big goal, right? That's so precious to your heart. It's like that is coming, but all of this had to happen in order to get there. This served for the healing, to create you into that person that has that faith, that certainty, that insight, that edge that can make that dream a reality. Heaven can help us. God can put everything in our path, but like ultimately we have to do the work to show up and accept and step into and claim our destiny. It's not just going to be done for us, right? That's why there's a faded path, where if we are passive and flaccid and don't get involved in our transformation or our healing or our, our transcendence, then we live out the hand that we're dealt. But it's when we do the healing, it's when we die to our lower self and we build more affinity with the light of the Creator, when we want to become more like Christ, when we want to become more like God, that is when our life begins to shift little by little, because we're tearing off, we're like breaking off those layers of darkness and negativity that kept that light veiled within us. It's already there. It's already brilliant inside of us. It's just that it is under layers and layers and layers of this negativity, of our blindness, of our darkness, of our ununderstanding. And so as those things become awakened and as we can shed our negativity, that light becomes brighter and fuller and freer. And we become like a clear channel that can just channel that light through and share it out into the world. And so that is what's helping us align with that higher path. And our higher self is trying to guide us and lead us there through our heart and through our soul and through the communication of our inner spirit to us through, quiet, intuitive moments, through our nightly dreams, through messages and signs in life. But we have to pay attention and we have to purify our hearts from the pain of the past and our attachments of our egoic desires that we brought with us through the past, and just let go, detach, and ultimately surrender the agenda of the ego to the care of the higher self. And ultimately we will be aligned with a path that far exceeds our expectations or our desires. We fear that if we surrender our own agenda to the care of the higher self, to the care of the Holy Spirit, that we're going to be aligned with a life that we're not happy with, that we're going to be disappointed with. It's going to feel like a punishment or duty, or like it's not going to be what we desired, and it's not going to fill us up and be fulfilling. But that's actually the opposite. That's not true at all. That's just a trick of the opponent to keep us distracted and to thwart us from actually achieving our fullest potential and our truest purpose and becoming that full divine version of ourself. So the truth is that version is so happy and so free and so not weighed down by pettiness, by fear, by scarcity, by lack, by doubt, but by self-doubt, by feeling like they can't say what they need to, or be what they need to, or ask for what they need. It's like they are unencumbered by insecurity. It doesn't weigh the higher self down, right? You are aligned with the thing that your talents are specifically tailored to, and your interests and your unique gifts. And so that path, right? That divine soul partner who's like equally shoulder to shoulder yoked with you, who you are compatible with, and who, fills you up, and who also challenges you, and you them. It's like that's the path that we're trying to align with. But the ego part of ourself is afraid that we're going to get tricked and we're going to get duped into something that's not like what we want. But that's not it. We will want it. It's going to be the greatest expression of our fulfillment. We just have to trust and keep following the guidance step by step. We probably won't have the whole plan laid out in front of us, because we're being asked throughout our lives to learn to have faith and trust. And after that, it's like it becomes almost like more fun that way. It makes life so exciting. And you get to a point where you're like kind of detached enough where you can stand outside of yourself and watch your own life like a show and be like, oh my gosh, I can't wait till tomorrow to see what tomorrow's episode is. Wow, like so entertaining. I'm the most exciting show on television. You just get to where you're like, wow, what a life. And the more lighthearted you can be, and the more like lighthearted you can joke around and just be like, wear life like a loose garment. It's like, that's when the manifestations happen so easily, because there's no fearful baggage or doubt around it. It's just like, this is totally possible. And then it's like, it totally is. It's like that playful faith of a child that can lean in and accept absurdity without, like, feeling silly. It's like, they're like, yeah, whatever, fine. And that is also a divine feminine quality as well. So quick review, the blue temple, it's like our insight into the depths of the who's and the what's and the why's and the how's and what it's all been for and what it's all led up to. Queen of Pentacles is like, we're at a level of Queen of Pentacles now, looking back on like what it took to get here and what we've come through, and reflecting on those lessons and really embodying them. But this is only the beginning. We are looking back on how we were at once just this little child here with a world of potential in her hands that's been unrealized, and looking to the future and waiting for these dreams to come true. But now there's like this part of ourselves that started to, that's lived through a lot. And it's like, whoa, that took a lot to get here. And I really appreciate all this. And I have built the vessel to appreciate what I've been through and how far I've come and what it took to get me here. So I'm going to continue to make an effort, and I'm going to respect my effort, and I'm going to, continue to make the effort and maintain the blessings that have, come my way, that I've been favored with. At the same time, this queen knows that she's getting ready to embark on a whole new adventure again, and up level again, and push herself out of her comfort zone all over again, and do something that is unfamiliar and unknown, so she can leave the village, go on the adventure, and come back again with all kinds of new things to share. And the new pearl, the precious pearl, is the embodied wisdom and the enlightenment and the treasure and the value that we've gained from that irritant, that one little sand, that one little grain of sand, all the things in our life that we were like, that we bemoaned and that we cursed and we rebuked, that were so hard. But those were the things that made us so unique and so strong and such a treasure, right? There's no pressure, there's no challenge. You get this vapid, shallow person who, the first breeze that blows, they're in a panic. Tonight I had a private party of people, and the air conditioner was just on, it was just blowing cold air. And like, these are adults. We've lived our whole lives with air conditioner. We know how it works. We've also lived our whole lives growing into restaurants, knowing that the air conditioner is going to be colder there than anywhere else. And so the girl that I was on this party with we're in this private room. So she turned the air conditioner on earlier, and she was like, she had blasted it at like 66 degrees. So it was like an Arctic blast coming through. But it was like, it had been like that the whole time. But like suddenly these people were just like in a panic, and they're like, oh, excuse me. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, can you, the wind, it's blowing so hard, it's so cold. And I'm like, yeah, I'll turn up the air so it'll cut it off eventually. And so I literally tell them, I'm taking care of it. I'm just going to go crank up the heat, like crank the air up or turn up the temperature. So it'll cut the thermostat, will cut off the air conditioner, stop running. I was like, if I turn it off all the way, it'll get like stagnant. And so like I walk away and like mess with it, and then it's like they even go crazier. They're even like in more panic. They're like, the wind, it's blowing so hard. They're like, are you gonna do something to turn it off? And I'm like, I literally just told you I was, and I've walked away, and now it's like the second wave of panic. I'm like, oh my God, like we just lived through like quarantine. We didn't get like more like fit for like survival than this. So they're like, what are you gonna do? And I was like, y'all, I turned the temperature up so that the thermostat will kick in and it'll cut off the air and it'll stop blowing. If I turn off the air altogether, it'll get too stagnant, y'all suffocate. And they're like, well, whatever you did, oh my God, it's starting to work. Oh my God, what are you gonna do? It's like, first of all, they were like, it wasn't making any sense when I'm telling them. And I'm like, is this hard to understand? We all know how the thermostat works, right? Like, it's just like, what is wrong with people? Like, there's such panic. They have no chill. They have no, like, I'm like, y'all, we've been all here been working in an air conditioner for like 30 years, each of us. Like, have we all forgotten, like, how, like, it's just going to be okay. You just change the temperature. Thermostat kicks in, it'll cut off. Like, y'all chill. The air will come out more gently with, like, less cold. We all know what's happening. It's just like, people, these modern times, just panic. So yeah, all of this has helped you be a person who can just calmly adjust the air conditioner without literally like the wind blowing you into a panic. I mean, my God, like how climate controlled does life have to be for people? I've noticed people don't recognize what food is anymore. They don't recognize it on sight. This is a problem. If we have gotten so detached from whole foods that we can't recognize basic vegetables after we've ordered them, there is a problem on earth that is bigger than we think, okay? People are like, what are these? What are those? Are those the Brussels sprouts? It's like, those are clearly mushrooms. The Brussels sprouts look like Brussels sprouts. Like, there's not a trick here. Like, nothing's pureed. I don't know what is hard to identify. I'm worried about people, y'all. I'm worried about people. All right. Everything has served us to this point to give us the skills to make these dreams a reality. And fate and destiny are all colliding right now, and we are being exalted and elevated into this up level. We have got to push ourselves and make the effort, but reach outside of your comfort zone and what is known and familiar to you. And huge expansion is coming. The new moon we just had in Taurus, this is all about planting seeds. This is Queen of Pentacles energy for sure. Venus, beauty, abundance, security, finances, plush, beautiful surroundings, beautiful flavors, foods, sensual delights. But this is very expansive right now. Jupiter is conjunct Taurus, or Jupiter is in Taurus, expanding all of that, and it's conjunct Uranus. So this is like, sorry, I've got hiccups all of a sudden, like a revolutionary change and expansion in our material experience of life. So great things are happening. Keep your chin up, keep your hopes up, and keep on keeping on. I think good things are really, really close by, y'all. Ciao.